Hello and welcome back to me building stuff in The Sims 3. Last time we built a starter house and it was really small and it was really a rapid movie, and afterwards, soon after I built the house, I was like, you know what? I have an idea for another building. Let's make an apartment building. What does this mean? This entails essentially building a large building that you don't own, and then inside that large building, building a small apartment that you own, that you can actually edit inside and stuff. And it involves a lot of cheats. Not as much constraint floor elevation as you might think. It involves a lot of move objects on and off. It involves a lot of testing cheats enabled, true or false. And it involves a lot of by the bug on and off. And it was a real big mess. In fact, this building was built in 3 days, I believe. Yeah, it took about 3 days to build the whole thing. It was a mess to build it. It's a giant thing. It's huge. And it took me 3 days and approximately 3 hours of recording, sped up and edited out. This is about 43 minutes, I believe, so we'll see how long it'll take. And yes, it took really a while, because before I could figure out how I want the building to look, which windows to use and all that, which expansions to use, and I decided to not restrain myself on the expansion level, so I just went wild with all the items available for me. Keeping in mind that I have only 2 expansion packs anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I do hear that actually it doesn't matter whether you own an expansion pack or not for downloading a building. Apparently building items in that building will just simply be replaced if you don't own an expansion pack. So that's actually nice. So yeah, it's been real big work and I'm quite happy with it. I'm quite happy. I've actually checked on the internet for other buildings of apartments, or other builds of apartments, and I must say that I was very surprised by how many there are. However, I noticed one little detail that I didn't agree too much with. Utopia. Everybody built Utopia. Essentially, what I mean with this is that everybody built perfect apartment complexes or high-end lofts and stuff, and super big apartments and whatnot. And well, I like the idea of having a super big apartment which basically spans throughout 2 or 3 floors. I kinda cannot agree with it because life is not perfect. So what I tried to do is certainly a nice building. I tried to make a modern looking apartment complex, that's for sure, but at the same time, what I tried to do is, later on you'll see at the end, by the end of the movie, that I add some dystopian, yeah, the dystopian, what do you call it, dystopian, well, you add something that isn't perfect, you know, you don't get to have the biggest apartment, you don't get to have the nicest apartment, you get to have a nice apartment because it's the apartment with some big windows that it has and nice rooms and all that. But it's not that big. It's actually quite tiny considering the size of the building. But keep in mind that if you actually want to download a building, you can always just go on testing cheats enabled true and by the bug on and off. And then you can change the room layout. You can change however you want the entire building to be looking like. It's really easy. You just have to mess out with the markers. The what was the name again? I believe it was the private room and public room markers. There's also skip floor marker, but I didn't need that one personally because this is not a high-rise building. High-rise building, that's the term, yes. So I didn't really need that, so it was quite okay. But essentially it's really easy to do. Just you have to go into the debug menu, into the miscellanea, and you'll find there some nice little silvery spheres, and you just have to plop those ones. But be careful because sometimes the game just loves to bug out and it hates you quite a lot, so keep that in mind. But yeah, essentially we're nearing the completion of the general looks of the apartment actually by now. You can see that I've actually made this stair-like balconies. Basically each balcony gets one block forward. So essentially it looks like a staircase. It goes up, 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 but also a bit straight, 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 straight. That's actually a very common thing of apartment buildings that we have down here in my region, essentially. And I really like that style, and I decided to go, you know what, let's go with it. It's certainly not a super, super modern style, I believe. It's actually quite an older style, but I like it nonetheless, so I decided to go with it. It's one of those modern styles that you could say that, I don't even know, what kind of style is it? About the 80s, 70s maybe? No, I don't think it's the 70s, I believe it's the 80s or something like that. So here I was checking out actually how many floors I can still make, if I should have made the apartment on the current floor that I'm building, or if it was possible to build it on the next floor. And I discovered that I still had 2 floors to build on, so I could have built it straight on the next floor, which is really nice. Here you see that I go wild with windows. By the way, this was a huge mistake from my part. What I had to do is basically build 2 floors, decide the color scheme of the walls, and then start coloring all the windows. Instead, what I did is build all the floors, and by building all the floors, I also made it so that essentially I'll have to color all the windows after a while. And that took me an obnoxious amount of time, probably like half an hour, and I was like... That was just the building session from yesterday. I built this in 3 days, started 2 days ago, and finished it today. And yesterday, all I did is coloring the windows and the doors. That's all I did, and I was going insane after a while. I was like half an hour into it, and I was like, no, that's enough. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm breaking for the day. And I did. I take a long break, actually. Now here I was messing out with the columns, and finally I made a skip. This is actually the first time I took a break from the first day. And we start building off the final floor, and here I had some layout issues with the balcony, but it wasn't too bad. It was mostly the columns that actually caused some troubles, because there are no 4 floor long columns, so I had to improvise and put these columns here. It doesn't look perfect, especially if you look from the perspective. You'll see that these columns here are actually floating. So it definitely doesn't look perfect, but it does add some accent to it, and I believe it's better this way than just not have any columns. I believe that those columns actually quite fit well into the entire thing. Here we are building actually the final floor, and you will be figuring out which apartment is the right apartment. Spoiler, it's the one without balconies. That's why I said that it would be having a bit of a dystopian look into it. It's not perfect by far. It's just, you know, it's just this feeling that I feel like it's correct. But essentially is you don't always get to have what you want. That's the point. So I decided to go with the room that you see here, down here on the big window side. So in the front of the house. I actually decided for that simply because I feel like I want to have my apartment looking straight down from the front of the building. And I like that idea. I kind of like that idea. So I decided to go with that. Here I've been adding these columns on the balconies, on the corners of the balconies, and I must say that I was pleasantly surprised by how that looked, because it certainly added some accent into it. And here I started with the layout of the building, and oh, Jesus. This took quite a while, actually. After a while, I decided to just, you know, change a bit the window pace, and it went fine. The final floor went wild with the windows, actually. So it's really a small apartment, if you see. From the red door that you see on the side, all the way into this square thing shape. That's all that the apartment gives you. This is it. This is essentially it. You see, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rooms, of which one is the bathroom, of which one is the entrance, of which one is the closet room, if you want, and one is the bedroom. I decided for a closet room and not a laundry room simply because I feel like laundry room in a side of an apartment complex is a bit silly. What I could have done is go one floor on the basement and just decide to build a common laundry room for everybody there, but I just didn't go with that, sadly. So here I went with constrained floor elevation. I believe this is the only time I use it, aside from the first time at the start of the video. I had to use it once because apparently the level of the terrain wasn't very leveled, and therefore I couldn't put any doors or windows because the walls just weren't even, and then I had to use constrained floor elevation. But this is essentially the only time I cheat constrained floor elevation just to do something, you know, to make it look better. Kinda makes me think, if I put any public room marker on the roof, I believe I didn't, I might need to do that, but I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure if it counts or not. So if I didn't do it, I'll have to do it because I don't want the player to actually add items on the roof. Now here I will be adding something really fanciful that I liked a lot, you'll see soon enough. Aside from these columns here, I will add some more columns that will actually make a unique shape to the wall, right over here. See what I'm doing right now? I'm trying to make some unique shapes out of it, and I like it. I really like how this turned out to be, you know, like 3 walls just hanging out, 3 column walls. I used these columns basically as an extension to the actual wall, and it worked out quite nice. I liked it overall. Now, if you ask me, those 2 windows that are different from the other modern windows in the back of the top floor could have gone away, but since it's not my apartment, it doesn't really matter. Here I am cutting off some pieces of the foundations, the decorative foundations, of course, to make it look a bit smoother. And I'm starting to color a bit the roof and the walls. Now, I decided to go with still the quite warm colors, but instead of going with the typical orange that I usually go with, I decided to go with a bit of more of an ochre color, I guess? Ochre and red color, as you can see. I have the feeling like this is more, you know, in place for an apartment building. I feel like it fits better an apartment building than a very bright color, because, you know, an apartment building could be old, so it isn't said that it's going to be super perfect, you know? So I decided to go with that color. Like, you know, it has aged. The apartment building has aged. It wasn't built recently. That's my point, really. Silly point, I know. But, yeah. I decided to go with some brick walls for the most of the ground floor, with some accents which are going to be exactly the same color as the roof. I believe the brightest roof, in fact. And it worked out quite nicely, actually. I was quite happy. And here I had a lot of trouble with all the foundations. To color all the foundations. It took me quite a bit of time, I believe. Yeah, I mean, for you it was actually short, but definitely it wasn't too short for me. I was losing my patience and temper there too. And now I'm starting to color a bit the walls of the next few floors. And I had quite a bit of trouble because I wanted to go with a typical modern look, which basically is square with a square, but those squares are differently colored. So I had to, first I was thinking maybe to go with only one type of color, but then I was like, nah, no, let's not do that. So I decided to go with the other red roof that you will see quite soon, I believe. I think. It might not happen though. God knows. But it actually turned out quite nice. Kind of a aged feel, and that is actually what I was aiming for. I didn't want to go with a super utopian modern building, you know? And I was happy with it. You'll see soon enough. Now we're painting the final floor of the building. It shouldn't take too long. In fact, I can check by the video clips because I stopped recording here and there just to save the game. And I can check already there and notice where it was actually finished. And you see here, this is what I mean with those squares. And I kind of like the small contrast that this red and pink, sort of pink color add, actually. I really like the color scheme. I mean, my idea was essentially to go with a completely different color, but then... By the way, this is the window part. The window part that was done yesterday, and oh my god. I'm gonna make a cut quickly here, but I just want to give you a feel of how many windows I had to color. But yeah, essentially, I wanted to go with a different color from my previous buildings, which are both orangey, but at the same time, I don't like cold colors too much, so I decided to go with a orange again, because, you know, F it. So what is going to be the color scheme of the windows and the doors? Well, orange and white, essentially. Quite a bright orange, as well as very, very bright white. Then again, white is not a color anyway, it's just all the colors. And I quite like the looks of it. Now, you might see the front windows, the big sky windows in the front, how they look. And I'm gonna change the looks of it very, very late into it. You'll see soon enough. But essentially, this is the idea. Essentially, the double windows get orange, the triple windows get orange, the single windows get white. Now, I believe I'm going to start making the interior of the building. And I start with the lobby, if you want. And I go with this, actually, very nice gray colored flooring. I was really, really pleasantly surprised. And I also went with this wall, which you can actually edit very, very much. At first I thought that you cannot remove the blue lines, but you can actually color them, and I'm really quite surprised and happy about how this turned out. It really looks like one of those condo buildings, you know? I feel, at least that's what I feel, at least, but yeah, I really enjoyed how it looked like in the end, so I cannot really complain about that. And I put the same pattern on the stairs, I put the same pattern on the columns, I put the same pattern on the, well, the little half walls, and half walls, there is more like it. And then I also colored the wood, the railing of the walls, which I really liked. And then, of course, also a nice railing, which is the same as the one of the, I believe, what was it, the right... No, the left balconies. The left balconies have the same railing. Here I had some modern lights. I really like these lights, actually. I end up using them quite a bit. Now you might see that I use them a lot, but I will actually remove some of them, as you can see right now, and will place these guys, which are the modern lights. Then I fix up the lights, and I fix up the lights, and I put the lights on, and I put the lights again, and there's a lot of lights, but I like this look. I feel like it's very bright. Put some flowers because I wanted to add some contrast into it. Simply because the rooms were very grey and white, aside from the wood of the railing. Therefore I put some flowers to add some green into it. There were lots of windows, there was a lot of color coming from the outside still, but still I wanted to add something extra. I go with very, very plain grey and white doors for those that let you access the buildings, but you will see, or rather the apartments, but you will see later on how I will color the ones in the actual apartment that the player is supposed to own. I basically take the walls of the apartment and color the doors accordingly. I will go with the same doors, because I really, really like these modern looking doors. They really add some nice contrast to it, because the other doors are all kind of old in style, and I wasn't too happy about it, so I decided to go with that. Here I'm adding some accents to the hallways that leads to the other apartment, and I'm going with this nice quaint wall. Normally it was a bit yellowish, but I decided to put a white and grey color to follow the scheme of the previous floors. As for the flooring here, you'll see that I go with some interesting choice. Just wait for a moment. Ah, there we go. So yeah, I decided to just cancel the blue out of these tiles, and it actually ended up looking quite nice. I was actually happy with it. Here I decided to actually not go with the same tiles as there were outside. Instead I went with a bit of a red tile-like flooring on the balconies, and I really liked how that looked. Finally, I'm adding some furnishment into the hallways, as well as the connections between the apartments. The plain good old couches, the cheapest of the all, and you know what? They also look very goddamn fancy. If they're the cheapest, they look goddamn fancy for being cheapest. and I really like it. Especially, you know, you see, you just color it plain white and it just looks good. And then I went with some side tables of black color, and Jesus Christ, it looked good. I really like that. I don't know why. At first I wanted to put some coffee tables here too, but then I was like, you know, my computer is going to sleep mode. You know, it's a bit too dark, so let's not do that. Let's just not do that. Here I add some flowers, and you know, let's have this boring neighbor which has this obnoxiously looking welcome rag or mat in front of his door, and I made this mat obnoxiously looking on purpose. Trust me on this. I mean, you might not believe this, but I actually was checking for these themed colors on purpose to see if I can make an obnoxious welcome mat. Because you know, if you ever lived in a condo building, an apartment building, you might know that there was always this neighbor which had this obnoxious welcome mat. And here I add with the debug mode on, the little spheres. However, it's a mistake I made actually, which I'm going to fix very soon, because you cannot edit anymore after you put them. So what I decided to do is just remove them, and I will be putting them once I am done with the whole building. And yeah, but I also added some lights, some invisible lights in the apartment, just to light the apartment enough so that I can actually fix up the ceiling, not the ceiling, the walls covers as well as the flooring. And it's just temporary. I will remove that. And yeah, I went with this very similar scheme of walls as I went with the other two houses. Just this one room, I believe, is going to be looking a bit different, a bit orange and cream color. The other ones are going to have a bright wall as well as dark wood, and I quite like that. Of course, the bathroom here is going to have some tiles. Sadly, there is no tiles that go well together. But it worked out anyway, even if they don't, you know, just blend in perfectly. It worked out still well. And here I go with good old, yeah, the good old wood. Good old wood. That sounds very dirty. The good old wood flooring and some nice marble here outside. I decided to color it myself. At first I wanted to go with a darker color of marble, but then I decided to go with a marble just on the side that is a bit darker. Sorry for the hiccups. I ate lunch in like 2 hours ago and I still have a bit of hiccups. And now that I colored everything, I decided to just remove the invisible lights and instead replace them with the actual lights that the apartment is going to have. And I still go with very modern lights. I really like the light here in the little closet room. I feel like it adds a bit of, you know, I really like also the flooring of the closet room, actually. It's unique, you know. You don't want your closet room to be perfect with the best of the best flooring ever, you know. So you just go with a cheap wood. Jesus Christ, that sounds so naughty. But yeah. Here I believe I'm going to start color the doors. Yes, I think so, yeah. At first I wanted to go with, yeah, well, woods. But then I was like, no, let's not do that. Let's go with Minsk. Not Minsk is a person from our game. Minsk, and just color it in such a way that it fits the walls of the same room. And you'll see that it actually turns out to be quite nice. Quite, you know, it blends in with the entire apartment. And I like that quite a bit. Maybe it's a bit exaggerated, but ultimately I like it. So, you know what? If I like it, and if you don't like it, well, bummer. But if you don't like it, please reconsider and like it. I don't even know. But yeah, the first room that I'm going to fully furnish is actually going to be the simplest room to be furnished, and that is the closet room. At first I wanted to go very extravagant with it. Sadly, there is not a closet which goes perfectly into like this. There's neither a closet that has a built-in window, or rather not window, but mirror. So I was really sad about that. No moderns, at least. So I decided to put these three small mirrors in such a way it looks kind of fancy. I don't even know what I was going with there, but you know, I like it. And here is the big problem of the entire apartment, the kitchen. Something tells me that I always will have problems with kitchens in buildings unless I really make it out to be giant. So I was messing out quite a bit with the kitchens before I set up what I wanted to see. And I decided not to cut this out entirely, simply because it was hilarious to see how much I tried and then retried until I actually went with the concept that I like the most. And that is what I'm trying to do right now. And no, it's not gonna be this, trust me. Even though I like this concept, sadly it just doesn't work. Then I went with this exterior, but no, it just doesn't work. So I decided to go with this sort of table. And here's what I'm gonna do now. You'll see, I basically added another half of the counter to it and extended it a bit. So it is a bit longer, so that I could put also the heater. And it covers the table a bit better. And it makes a bit more room, I believe, and generally speaking, I really liked how that looked. Interestingly enough, the same woods were used, but it looked a bit brighter, so I darkened it up a bit, just a tiny bit. And here I darkened also the chairs, but then I noticed the chairs had a different wood, so I decided to just darken the wood of the chairs. I'm talking a lot of woods right now. As for the... basically, I replaced the marble of the counters here entirely with a dark rubbery-like material. I thought that a simple color would fit better the entire scheme. And here we have the good old columns. I made these columns that connect to the kitchen, as if this kitchen is actually, you know, blend together. And I add one of these lamps. Actually, I will add just one of the lamps on these columns. It actually fits, believe it or not. Normally it wouldn't fit with any other lamp. This one does fit, because it just goes inside the columns a bit. Add some sinks, some of these flying counters. I don't really know the terminology of the kitchen in English, sadly, but, you know, this is what I do. There's an alarm for fires. At first I wanted to go with the recycling trash can, but then I went with a simple washing machine, not dishwasher, of course. And a phone on the side of the kitchen. A few accents to the kitchen, actually. A microwave oven, a blender, some hand towels. I think I was looking for some knives at this point, and I couldn't find the knives for some reason, but I'm pretty sure there is an item for knives. I don't know if it's available for me, but there definitely is one if you have the appropriate expansion pack. And a little bit of a flower in the middle of the friggin' table, if you want to call it that. And now we go with the living room, which is the same room, and you see that there is not quite a lot of room in this room. So I decided to go and squeeze it up all together, and it actually ended up looking very nice. The couch is very close to the table. One of the seats on the table can actually watch the TV if you're so lazy, I believe. And it actually ended up looking nice. The coffee table, I opted actually for it to go on the side between the kitchen and the couch, or the sofa. And it ended up working quite nicely. I had a bit of library there. I colored up the woods. All the woods. I colored up the room a bit so that it matches up the same colors. I didn't color up the borders of the painting, the only painting that had borders in that one room, because I just felt like it already had. And here I was messing up again with the color schemes of the couch. I just have this dilemma when it comes to color schemes of the couch. And then I was like, you know what? At one point I will be like, you know what? Let's go simple. So I go with lines. And then I was like, you know what? Let's go in simpler. Because essentially, why would you go so complex on couches? A couch is where you sit comfortably. You don't want to look super fancy. So I went with this dark red color. And I actually feel like it fits quite nicely. And then I go with a nice carpet here, which I think I actually found a good combination for it. You'll see soon enough. No, it's not that one. It's neither that one. No, nope, 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 it's not this one. It is... Wait a moment. Wait for it. This one. Perfect. So essentially I color it the same way. I color it a bit more to be warmish. But then again, I didn't feel like it's too warm. So I decided to just invert the colors a bit. Basically it's not too warm. It's a bit of a yellow tending towards the green with a bit of gray. So it's not really that warm. It's a bit of a sad carpet that makes the room look very weird. But you know, I liked it. And a bit of a little coffee table with a flower there. A stereo device, a flower, as well as a lantern here. I really like how this coffee table here ended up looking on the side. And then we move on to the bathroom. The bathroom, which for once I had no trouble with, because it is actually quite a big bathroom. And as you expect, in a big bathroom you can put a lot of things in, and you can just go wild with your imagination, put a lot of accents into it. And it ended up looking quite nice. As you can see, I try to follow with the same pattern as in the kitchen, but then I will change a little bit because I noticed that both my shower and the bathtub have these golden pipes, or whatever you call them. So I decided to go with the same on the sinks, as well as on the counters. Hey, it works. It works. I'm happy with it. Here is our toilet, and yes, there is an accent that needs to be colored into gold. We go with some windows. I actually go with some... no, windows, sorry. We go with some mirrors. Also close to the bathtub. I just have the feeling that that's a modern effect to it, and I'm quite happy with how it turned out to be. We go with some towels. I don't think I actually colored those into golden. I just felt that it would be a bit too extravagant if I did. The window cover for this small windows is sadly always the same, you cannot change it. And here we go with the thing that will change the front windows quite a bit. That is the curtains. The curtains will actually change how the front windows look like. Because I find these beautiful large curtains and it just doesn't fit. So I decided to just put two big windows per floor of the apartment complex, and it fits better. It definitely fits better. Certainly fits better with the curtains that I just put there. And I'm going again with warm colors. I believe, yes, this should be it. Yeah, that's it. And I'm quite happy with how it turned out to be. I believe I'm using the same curtain color scheme as well as the same curtain type in the bedroom. Yes, I do. And here I put the bed. By the way, you'll notice that I do not color the bed at all. That is actually one thing that I will fix up later on. You won't see it in the video, I did it off camera. But I do color that horrible cow leather away from the bed and replace it with something abstract or themed. I don't even know what it was, but it was nice. I liked it. It gives you this warm African feel almost for some reason. I just had the feeling it was a bit of a warm African feel. By the way, that one flower right over there, the flower pot, I absolutely love that. If I could buy one, I would buy it for real. Surely, because it's so beautiful. God damn it. I'm also a very big fan of things like bonsais and stuff like that. But I just can't grow them. I'm too sloppy for growing them. So if I could buy a fake bonsai, that would be ideal. Here I was checking for how to surround this little TV that the bedroom is going to have, and I decided to go with a library instead. But then I said, no, you cannot watch a library if you want to watch a show. So I decided to go again with the TV and some lanterns, as well as those 4 little paintings that I like really a lot. And I believe this is essentially it for the bedroom as well. And now we go into the entrance room of the house as we approach the 38th minute of the video. Jesus Christ! Okay. So here I wanted to go with a little library, because at first I was actually thinking, should I go with a laundry room there? Just a tiny little laundry room there? And I was like, nah, let's not do that. Instead, let's build a library, and then I was like, nah, let's not do that. Instead, let's build a desk with a PC there. It actually fits quite nicely. Just about nicely. A bit claustrophobic, truth be told, because it's in a small... in a small hallway-like structure, but it fits up nicely in the end, I believe. A globus there, because, you know, let's have a globus. At first I wanted to go with this wall covering or moving walls with the same color scheme of the library, but then I decided to go with the wall having the same, I mean, put the libraries to have the same background of that wall. And a nice little rug, which I'm going to color properly in a warm color that gives a bit of contrast with the very uncolorful colors of the flooring, which is the marble, the gray and white marble. And I believe this is essentially it, as much as it regards with the house. I believe that's essentially it. I don't know if I changed anything. So I go with this, which is basically the bell ringer. Ring beller? I don't even know. And then I start a bit of the landscaping. Actually, a friend of the channel told me the right word. It's landscaping, it's not gardening. So yeah, I go with landscaping, put some shrubs, put some trees, put some rocks. I really like the style of rocks that I found, like scatter the rocks around like a crazy idiot. It works out quite nicely. And add some flowers in the... See, this is what I say. This is a bit too perfect, I feel. This is maybe one of the things that I overdid a bit. So what I decided to do is, just over here, add this one thing, which is basically where the trash goes. You know, you probably see them around buildings. Usually there's also gas tanks there for heaters and stuff like that of a complex building, but I didn't go with that. I decided just to go with a couple of crates and a trash bin. But yeah, it certainly adds a bit of dystopian feeling into the entire apartment complex, which I kind of like. But I still overdid a bit the landscaping, I believe, if I wanted to not make it too perfect, you know? Oh, here I had a bit of... No, not a bit, sorry. Here I had a lot of trouble. Because I just couldn't pick up that shrub anymore. And I was like, come on! Are you serious? I was trying really, really hard, but no, you just couldn't. So I had to cancel everything, retry everything, put the shrub straight into the middle of the road and hopefully be able to move it again. And there we go. Everything is saved for the moment. Put some clovers there in the corner. And some sidings. I don't even know what to call those little railing thingies there. And I'm moving the post box as well as the trash can. Sadly, I couldn't find a bigger trash can. For some reason, I just didn't find any bigger trash can, but I'm pretty sure that there should be one at least. But I just didn't find any. It was kind of silly, but sadly, I couldn't do anything else there. So I add some accents to the side balconies if you want. It's not really a side balcony. Here, I mistakenly pressed the edit down, and I decided to, you know what, let's save. Even if I'm recording this, let's save. Because I haven't recorded it. Now I go with the lights inside the garage. The garage which has 4 parking slots. I don't know if it's even possible to have such parking slots in such a little garage, but oh well. Color a bit the asphalt that leads to the garage. Add a bit of brighter color because, as I said, this apartment building is supposed to be a bit older, so the asphalt cannot be that fresh, you know. And what I was... yeah, here I was checking what is it, testing cheats enabled true, and here I start adding the debug mode items. And here is going to be quite a travesty because I'm gonna lose like 5 minutes of work into nothing. So I add some accents here and there. You see this nice effect of a water draining system for the road. This is really very small details that possibly lots of people forget about, but I really liked it. The post boxes, which if you actually notice, will make the other post box disappear automatically. Here was checking for a big garbage can. I just couldn't find any. I don't think there is any. There's just a garbage chute, but it doesn't remove the garbage bin entirely. Trash bin, garbage bin, I don't even know. I've been talking here for 43 minutes, so forgive me if I am making some serious mistakes in grammar and stuff, and yes, that's a lot of big buildings. But yeah, essentially, I wasn't finding the right thing, and I feel like there just isn't the right thing, so I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to go with this small trash bin for the entire friggin' apartment. because it just doesn't work any other way, I guess. Here I add some of these trash bins, because I'm actually going to remove them later. I should be making a cut here soon, because I had some issues with the cheat codes. So I had to roll back. Some things are going to change. But not a lot. I will keep a lot the same. And here I go again with some landscaping, some dirt, ground, so that I know where I'm gonna put some trees and shrubs. Usually I go with small trees because I don't like the trees to, you know, outgrow the entire apartment building. I want the apartment building to look quite big, so instead I went with, you know, small trees, which worked out nicely. I spammed a lot of spam of these small rocks, which I love a lot, actually. And it worked out quite nicely in the end. Some clovers here and there to add some accents into it, and I believe I am basically done. You can see that I've changed a bit the looks of the front. I put two of those sewage draining thingies in the front. Well, I don't even know. And here I'm putting the spheres. Oh, this was also a big travesty, because apparently I failed completely. I put some private rooms into the public rooms. I put some public rooms into the private rooms, and it didn't end up working, but I fixed it up entirely. Here I disabled the cheats, and I believe this is almost it. Yes. Now I'm just checking out the doors, locking the doors that shouldn't be accessed, and making sure that the right doors have a NPC. Basically means that you can ring the door's bell, and just, you know, have an NPC pop out and be like, hey, what do you want? Well, what was that about? I don't even know. But yeah, I had to do this with testing cheat enabled true. Here I was checking this column, which kind of was weirdly colored, but it was just a lightning option, I believe. So I just colored it a bit darker so that it looks a bit similar to the other columns, but that's essentially it. I had some silvery balls here and there. And this is it. Here is the front of the building, finally, at long last built. Here we have the entrance to the apartment complex. You can see the orange as well as the white windows. The doors have actually a bit of a brighter orange than the windows. Here is the lobby and the stairs that lead from the first floor to the second or the ground floor. Finally, you have the small room that connects the neighbor and your apartment. And here we have the entrance to the apartment with a nice little library as well as the nice colorful rug. The bathroom. There should be another picture of... No, there's not another picture of the bathroom apparently. We go straight into the living and kitchen room. Here we have an up-top-down look of the kitchen. Another one that goes straight from the heater towards the TV. And the living room exactly where the couch is at and the sofa. And I really like the color of that. And here is actually how the bed looks like. And with these swirls, black swirls and orange swirls and gray swirls, I really liked it. It had that African feel for some reasons. And here is the left side of the building with 4 balconies. Or rather 1 ground floor and 3 balconies. Here's the top-down look on the front and the top-down look from the right. And that's essentially it. Oh my god, my voice is gone, alright. So thanks everybody for watching this. And if you liked it, please consider liking it. There's going to be a download link in the description below if you're interested in this building particularly. If not, well, thanks anyway for bothering watching. But I really am proud by how this looks. It's definitely the largest project I've built thus far in The Sims 3 by far. And man, is my voice gone right now. So thanks everybody for watching, and until next time, be well! Bye!
This was the Lauron Gaming Show. Thanks for watching.